Well, peace, 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 fam. How y'all doing? How is everybody doing today? It is Tuesday evening. This is a Mars day. It was beautiful out today, actually. It went up to as high as 64 degrees today. Who would have thunk? 64 degrees in the Northeast. Yeah, that's my cue. I need to get my tail in bed. Let me tell you, fam, I have had well, first of all, this is Oracle Deborah with the Oracle Deborah podcast on YouTube. Thank you all for sharing, and subscribing. I'm making inroads with these videos because I got a analytics notification from YouTube today. So that tells me I'm starting to gain some traction. I'm really happy about that. Yeah, I'm really happy about that. The things I think they should be moving faster are just kicking my tail. Pluto and Aquarius is kicking my tail, but in a different kind of way. It's like, yeah, we're gonna talk about Pluto and Aquarius tonight. It's like, I guess Pluto and Capricorn already dismantled all of my structures, my programming, my thinking, my conditioning, all of that just literally brought me down to ground zero. And you think after that you would be the phoenix rising from the ashes. And in a way, I am, and in a way, I'm not, because the moment, I make some inroad, something else is dismantled. It's just kind of wild how Pluto in Aquarius is kicking my tail. And I just did not see this coming. I really didn't. I can't quite make hide nor tail of why Pluto in Aquarius is I guess Pluto period is kicking my tail. I also have to bear in mind that Saturn is in Pisces, and that is also kicking my tail as well. So I'm getting it from a couple of angles. And there's a lot going on with the transits. I don't have my phone on me, and I don't think I have my app on this iPad. I have my iPad, but I don't think I have the app that I need to tell you what the heck is going on. Let's see, I have Sanctuary, but that's not going to tell me. Let's see if I can. Yeah, that app is not going to tell me what the transits are today. Sorry, that app is not going to tell me what the transits are today. I think I kind of faded out for a little bit because I had turned my head. But yeah, Pluto is at 0 degrees Aquarius. We just came out of a Mercury retrograde, so I think that's station direct. We're still in the shadow of the Mercury retrograde. That was pretty wild, though, that Mercury retrograde, particularly last Saturday. Yes, last Saturday. Because I think between that Mercury retrograde but definitely Mercury retrograde has something to do with this. But in addition to that, all the drones that's been flying around, I'm telling you, it was driving my GPS ballistic. That GPS was taking me, to places, like it's like I know the area that I am, but I don't know it inside out. Right. So I'm always learning some new neighborhood, basically in this place that I live because I don't venture out like that. And while I have a general idea, a great idea actually, of pretty much where most things are, where things are, um, there are a lot of hidden neighborhoods and things like that. And there are also different roads that can take you to a location where, it's really just a different route, right? So I'm finding different routes. So there's always that curiosity, like, oh, the GPS is taking me a different way than what I normally know. And I go with it. But this GPS had me going, it was leading me to dead ends, which was actually kind of scary, like especially at night. Um, and I'm thinking, like, what the hell? Like, I don't want to get caught up in some area where there's a dead end and find myself in a precarious situation. You know what I mean? So that was really wild. Um, and I don't know if anyone else reported this or not, but it was really, really, it was frustrating, and weird and slightly scary, actually. So, yeah, the people who I were delivering to, they were very, kind and patient and all that. But I felt badly because the thing was just taking me all over the place. And like in one instance, I literally just had to ignore the entire GPS and just go the route that I knew. I just needed to know the name of the complex that this person lived. Um, and once I, you know, found that, like I just found my way through this whole area by myself because the GPS was still telling me reroute. It was telling me to reroute. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with this GPS? It was really weird. It was really weird, fam. So yeah, they're not telling us what's going on with these drones, what they really are and what it's really about. And yeah, and this, you have high level officials that are like, they're not telling me either. So, just really weird things going on with these drones. But I think I saw a couple of videos where like the government knows what they are, the military know what they are, they're just not telling us. So I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, just be careful, but don't panic because they just I think too the the powers or the wannabe powers that be, they keep testing us to see how we react to certain things. And it's a fine line to balance, to be honest. Because on one hand, you don't want to give them energy, but on the other hand, if you don't say anything, they feel like they can move forward. And that's your average narcissist. um, One that I am dealing with now in the workplace. Narcissist. As a matter of fact, I got two of them, a male and a female. One's a Taurus and one is a Scorpio. And the female appropriately coined them Tom and Jerry. And they are Tom and Jerry for sure. Um, yeah. People like that, they really test my patience because I really want my um, Sagittarius Centaurian sign to come out with a vengeance on these people. I have to remain tempered and, forgive. It's interesting that all these little messages in the Bible keep coming up for me. Forgive 70 times seven. I never even liked that thing. I was like, forgive them for what? Like, that's crazy. That's like being a doormat. Like, I never respected that. Like, never respected that scripture. But now, because of where I guess I'm going and the territory that I've moved in, it requires me to be more patient with certain entities and certain energies, and you know, continue with, the service, because everything I do has to be of service, right? I can't just do things for the sake of doing it for money. That's not my path. So there has to be a service oriented something or other attached to whatever it is I'm doing. Otherwise, it falls apart. Thank you to Pluto and Capricorn. It falls apart. So, yeah. So it's just interesting. I actually wrote a reminder in my calendar, and it says forgiveness opens up channels to money. Forgiveness opens up channels to money. So bear in mind, and I know everybody is in a different place, and we are generally experiencing the same energy, but we're not experiencing it in the same way. So this particular message may not apply to you. I get that. I understand that. So again, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Okay. But if you decide to test it out and it works, then, there you have it. But if you're convicted, like, no, then, again, don't do it. But in this stage in my life, in this, on this journey, this new journey that I'm in, um, that is a key phrase for me. So forgiveness opens up channels to money. Not everybody's going to resonate with that. I know that off the cuff. They're just not. And like I said, that's okay. But it made a whole lot of sense to me after something got canceled last night that had been in the works for months. And I just remember, like, almost a month ago confirming, like, hey, is this thing still on? Yes, it is. That's the answer I got. And then a day ago, I got messages say, are you still available for this thing? And I said, yes, I am. It was all in the works. It was all set up. And then 2 hours later last night, I get a message saying it's been canceled. After all of that confirmation, after all of that communication, still got canceled. And I found myself saying, okay, now I'm going to have to pivot again, figure out how I'm going to, replace this particular situation or client or whatever. So trying to move away from just having clients and building relationships, where people are coming to me on a more regular basis as the expert in my fields, and I have several fields. So yeah, not just the one-on, one-off clients. They're fine for immediate, liquidity, getting that liquid cash, but it's the building of the relationships that's long-standing. So yeah, it looks like I'm dropping some dimes on you, some gems on you guys. So yeah, forgiveness opens up channels to money. It's interesting in the foundational Black American community. Used to annoy a lot of us, most of us, when something tragic would happen and the media would come to the family of a victim or something and say, well, do you forgive this person for doing this terrible thing to you? And I used that used to make me furious. And I was like, why are they asking that dumbass question? Like, how is that relevant to their pain they're in right now? And why would you even ask that question? And then if it was a tragedy that involved predominantly white people or Hispanic people or some other people, they would never ask that question. I said, why do they keep asking that question to foundational Black Americans? And it made me despise forgiveness even more. And the reason I despised it, and I could say I can take this back to my childhood, is because the people around me didn't, they thought it was a joke. Like they didn't do something wrong and then apologize and you forgive them and they make it a point to not do that thing again. No, they just did it over and over and over again, which is why I despised the whole concept of forgiveness. Okay, fam, how did this come up? I had no this forgiveness thing wasn't even on my mind. So this thing is about forgiveness. Okay. Wow. Give me 1 second. Let me just write this down. Wow. I didn't see this coming. I absolutely did not see this coming. But let's talk about it. Okay. Let's talk about, everybody knows forgiveness is for other people, it's not for you. My whole point at this point is to speak about it on different angles that will help other people um, be able to get a better idea if they're struggling with this. Because like I said, I struggled with forgiveness for many years. I remember I was in the church and going to retreats, and I talked about this forgiveness thing, especially right after my divorce years ago. But I never, until this moment right here, literally, did I realize I despise the whole concept of forgiveness. And not that I wanted to just walk around and be filled with anger and grudge and rage or, you know, vengeance, anything like that. I just despise the whole teaching of forgiveness when the people in my, give me 1 second, hold on, let me close this door. When, when the people in my immediate area, um, no, they didn't respect that. And they didn't respect anyone who it was literally just the opposite. It was like the modum operandi was someone does something to you, you cut them off, you never let them back in again. They were just cut off. And in the area where I grew up, it was very fast paced. So it could be that the type of individuals that they were needed to be cut off because they would just come in and take advantage. But even those who were that energy be resonated through, it started reverberating throughout the communities. So even if you weren't waking up every day looking to scam somebody or get take advantage of someone or rob someone or you know anything like that, this was the energy reverberating throughout the community in the day-to-day interactions, at least in my little world. You feel me? So yes, I despised the whole concept of forgiveness. I despised it. because you end up being a doormat, and I despise being a doormat, so I wasn't trying to be a doormat either. So, all right, I'm writing all this down so I don't forget because this came up out of nowhere, honestly. Um, so remember in the courtroom too when what was the guy who got killed by the police officer who claimed she went to the wrong apartment door? Botham, I think is his last name. Can't think of his first name. But the family's in the courtroom, and well, that was such a buffoonery situation in my eyes. Uh, how the brother, I guess, was in the courtroom and talking about he forgive her, and it was just, it just made me sick to my stomach. Like, I think so you think maybe you're being too harsh, but look at the young women, the gymnasts who were in the courtroom with Larry Nasser, the doctor who was essaying them, all of them, it was over 100 of these young girls for years, and how the educators at the college allowed it, and even they encouraged them to keep going to him and discouraged them from outing him and all this stuff, because I kept saying this man didn't get away with this by himself. Somebody knew, and more than likely a female. And I think definitely a female, a woman at one of those colleges or at the college where he was at, definitely got reprimanded or tagged or however you want to put it. And she would, it was pointed out that she knew. She knew what the hell was going on. And these young women, including Simone Biles, one by one were um, were in that courtroom and walked up there and gave their statement. And I don't think not one of them said to him, "I forgive you." Not one. So I'm not being cruel. I'm not being insensitive. I'm thinking this is very human that when someone hurts you, you need to process your pain. And the forgiveness thing is a process in and of itself, which is why I am here right now talking about this. Um, so no, I'm not being cruel. I'm giving you an example of, you know, if it's okay for one group to not have to do it, then why is it expected of melanated people? And this guy, Botham, he was in Foundational Black American. I think they were from the Bahamas or something. Botham John, I think is his name. That's what's coming up. Yeah. Oh, Joe, let me see. Johann Botha. Johann Botha is Johan and then last name Botha. No, 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 no. I take that back. Got the wrong person. Forgive me. Forgive me. That's wrong. Let's see. It's I'm thinking it's Botham John. I don't know why it's coming up. Yeah, Botham Jean. It's Jean, not John. Jean, like Jean. Botham Bothan. Yeah. So so yeah. So that's my thought on that. But yes, to bring it back to center this back, to center this or take this back to where I was talking about, yes, I despise forgiveness because it wasn't taken seriously. And it just it wasn't a concept. I won't say that it wasn't. I mean, if you think of your parents, right? Your parents, when you do something and you know, and they chastise you, whatever, you forgive them. You don't walk on them and say, "Hey, mom or dad, I forgive you. Hey, mommy, I forgive you." You know, or they don't say to you, "I forgive you." At least my parents didn't say, "I forgive you." They just moved on. And sometimes if you did something bad enough, you heard about it for a while. It never let you live it down, but for the most part, you were forgiven, and you didn't you didn't need to hear the words. You just felt the feeling and the energy changed, in the interaction where you were like, okay, I'm out of the woods. I'm out of the doghouse again. So, there's that. And I'm not talking about my parents when I say this, my surround. I'm literally talking about these boomer siblings that I had because they were just out of control. Honestly, that whole generation of boomers were out of control. I was on a investment call with a broker investor, and I'm only doing this, 4-day thing because I have a neighbor who's interested in getting involved in investment properties. And I said, this will be a good person to get an idea, to get your feet wet and get some information, right? Taking some information. And I told her I would do this thing with her. But the whole time it's like he's just saying little things and I'm just catching on to, you know, the little tricks and the little, statements they make, where it's really code, like code messages they're passing to one another. And then he made this flippant statement today, about how all Gen Xers are just broke. And I thought to myself, we're broke because of you, not him in general, but yeah, because he offers classes and all of his students got on there and said, yeah, I've been with him for 2 and 3 years. They are literally bankrolling this man for 2 or 3 years. They're using their savings or their, you know, their capital or, retirement money to bankroll him, and he had the audacity to say, you Gen Xers are just broke. So anyway, let me get back on track. So forgiveness. Yeah, speaking of forgiveness, don't let the sun go down on your anger. I have to forgive this guy. As a matter of fact, I just got off the call. It's like, why would I sit there and ruminate on what this stupid thing he just said? I just got off the call because he hasn't said anything I haven't heard before. You always learn new things about investments, investment properties, which is okay, which is good. But we were close enough to the end where I was like, I'm just going to get off the call because he's just being stupid at this point. Because he's mad that someone's not opening up their pockets for him or willing to open up their pockets for him. And I'm pretty sure people went out and got loans so they can bankroll him for 2 or 3 years just to find a property. He literally, yeah. So anyway, yeah. There's his forgiveness, right? I don't want to get into it because I feel like then I don't forgive him for what he said, which I do, and because honestly, there's no forgiveness necessary because he wasn't worth it. You know what I'm saying? He just wasn't worth it. But so yeah, if you're struggling with forgiveness, there are different. It is a process. You have to do a lot of shadow work. You have to do or whatever shadow work is necessary to get to that point. You will be tested. The universe does that. The universe tests you in those areas. And the thing about forgiveness is it also activates faith. So I would say that unforgiveness um, is a hindrance to you activating your faith, or that forgiveness is a means to activate and strengthen your faith. So yeah, it is a process. And, in my case, I had to move away from, that environment so that I could heal. I guess one might say I put myself, sent myself in the desert so I could heal. Um, I'm laughing about this now, but how ridiculous it is that, anyway. So yes, it faith. I'm sorry. Forgiveness does activate faith, and you know, faith is key. Faith is a key. It's a key thing. That's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily trash the Bible. I don't trash the Bible at all. I just don't like the interpretations that are handed down, fed to us, which creates the conditioning. And actually, my session today talked about, or it brought out how we have these certain belief systems, and though we work through a lot of them to break it down and to move forward, we find that years later or moments later, whatever, however much time later, and when we're experiencing something that's unpleasant, we find that it's unpleasant because we're still holding on to remnants of these old belief systems. Let me see if I could find my notes. Because I jotted some things down. Um, okay, so here it is. So when we're having challenges, one way to challenge our belief system, because the thing is about certain belief system is, I'm doing good. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Um, I don't know what else to do because, I keep running into trials and tribulations and it's painful. And, I don't really know how to get out of this loop, if you will. So the message that came, so the belief system around that is I should be able to decide I want to do good in the world. I want to be a good person. I want to be a better person. I want to contribute to the world. I want to be a contributing member of society. I want to be a good parent. I want to be a good spouse. I want to be a good this, a good that. Like this is, it behooves me to be a good person. And when a person actively moves forward in that way, and then still experiences a lot of challenges, it becomes very frustrating after a while because it's like, I'm doing good. And I see these people doing these horrible things, and they seem to be the ones prospering, but I'm the one doing good. Well, that's that lie, that belief system that's been rammed down many of our throats that we fed into and that has become a part of our programming. And one of the ways to um, penetrate that belief system, that lie, basically, and change the narrative is to say, challenges are a part of humanity. To be human is to experience challenges, setbacks, sorrow. That's what this means about being human. The whole concept of you're human, but if you do good, you'll only get blessings. That's the lie. That's the big lie. And that's why the responses to these challenges are so devastating to us and hurt us and makes us sad or make us angry or frustrates us because we were all fed this lie, this narrative. And it is a flat out lie. It is. Because when you really get in the weeds in life, you realize that concept is not true at all. There's no truth in that whatsoever. The truth is that we are human, and as human beings, we will experience joy and we will experience hardship, and we may even deal with a series of hardships, you know, back to back to back type thing. I remember a woman in a workplace years ago. She was like, all bad things happen in threes. And I literally cringed when she said that because I was like, oh my God. Like who believes in that? Like who owns that? And I was nowhere near where I am in terms of my, journey and spiritual awakening and all that stuff. And I just cringed at that thought. I was like, I'm not feeding into that. But the truth of the matter is it does sometimes happen that way. Maybe for some folks more than others. And not all the time. Okay. But it can happen that way. But I'm not going to project it still, I'm not going to do that. So to get back, so yes, we are human. Therefore, there will be challenges. The that is a part of the human experience. And we live in a dualistic society. Our whole universe is based on duality. So there can be no joy without pain. There can be no pain without joy. How would you know what joy is? How would you truly know what joy is if there was no pain? I guess I'll put it that way. You can't experience relief unless you've been under some pressure. We live in a dualistic universe. So that is the concept that we have to begin to take on. Remember, I don't know, one of my videos a couple of days ago, maybe over the weekend, and I pulled some cards. And I pulled that healing card. And I said, and then out of that spread came the Three of Swords. And I remember saying, this Three of Swords energy is how I feel like this is the staple, this is life, this is what we can expect to experience in this lifetime. And then one of the other cards was the Four of Wands, which is the marriage card, the celebration card. Then, we will experience those joys, and we will really appreciate and nurture and covet those moments, because we know that those moments are not they are not life. That's not reality. That you can't just live out those moments all the time. We live in a dualistic universe. So when we get these moments of joy, and because this person even reminded me, it's like, you were just celebrating 20 years cancer free. And I said, I know. And I forgot about that. He was like, you have to remember that. Don't just remember it for the moment. You have to keep it in front of basically is what he was saying, keep it at the forefront of my mind. So that when I experience hardships and even a series of things, I can always have the front of my mind, but I'm still here. I still had this experience. I'm 20 years cancer free. So yeah, that would be my message is we really do need to challenge this belief system, this conditioning that we've been force fed about do good and life will be good. It's just not true. Um, you have to challenge that to say we are human, therefore we will experience hardships and pain and sorrow and trauma and you know suffering. As hard as that is to say, but we will suffer. And in those sufferings, we will experience momentary bouts of joy and happiness, and we covet these things. Not covet it in the sense that, we try to avoid pain at all costs, okay? Because then we're out of balance again. But we covet it in that we appreciate it and we remember. And, we are grateful. So that leads to being grateful, right? So, yeah, so forgiveness activates faith and it also, um, so forgiveness activates faith. And with faith, we remember to be grateful for what we have, for who we are, for where we are in the moment. Yeah, it is a process to get to this place where you say and recite, or just becomes a mantra or an affirmation. Um, Forgiveness opens up channels to money, or forgiveness may open up channels to relationships, loving relationships, or forgiveness opens up channels to, excuse me, um, what? Unity, or um, a loving family, or whatever you want to replace. For me, is it opens up channels. It Forgiveness definitely opens up channels to money because that's where I'm being hit at the moment. Every little thing that I have been experiencing, all the setbacks have literally affected my pocket. And it's interesting that this man said it earlier, like, you Gen Xers are so broke. Well, maybe because we are going through, Saturn returns. Most of us are going through Saturn returns right now. And we're dealing with Pluto in probably significant houses in our chart. Gen Xers are the Pluto and Virgo generation. And we were mortified coming into this existence and seeing the things that were going on. You were like, y'all are crazy. A bunch of toxic Leo lions running around, and oh my God, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Virgo, you know, Virgo likes order. Virgo is meticulous. Virgo rules the sixth house. Virgo can be highly OCD. Virgos make the best nurses, doctors, because again, they rule the sixth house. They're very anxious too. Virgos are very anxious. They like things in order. They love order. And they would do the same thing, the same time every day and build on that bit by bit by bit by bit. And they absolutely are not concerned with what's in the mirror. Even though they're very meticulous, I find Virgos to be very meticulous and with their dress and their image and all of that stuff, but they're not needing to look in the mirror and have people, give them accolades and be the center of attention. No, that's not Virgo. So, yeah. All right, beloveds. I know this was like impromptu and all this stuff came out that I wasn't expecting, but I'm writing a lot of notes here so that I will know how to label this video. To be human. To be human is to suffer. I mean, I don't think anybody can challenge that. To be human is to suffer. And we will experience joy. We will experience joy for sure. All right, beloveds, that's it for me. I need to get up early and I need to sleep. I did not sleep at all, and I ate all the calories to prove it today. It was horrible. I don't know if it was that bright, shining moon that was out there and just that energy raging through, the curtains, basically, because this full moon energy is strong. We just had a full moon in Gemini, which was actually very positive for me. Very positive, very uplifting. I was getting bad news and I was getting other news that just was lifting me and raising my vibration above, the bad news. So I appreciate the full moon in Gemini and the Pluto in Aquarius age too. I don't know about that new moon in Gemini. No, I'm not fooling with that one. But the full moon in Gemini was all right. It was okay. So yeah, that moon is still shining very bright. It's not full. It's starting to wane. We're in a waning cycle of the moon. But it's bright as hell out there, let me tell you. All right, beloveds, you all have a wonderful evening and have a great night. And love yourself, love your families, love the people you're around, but most importantly, love yourself. And take care of yourself, okay? And yeah, continue smiling and may your smile shine, may it shine as bright as the star that you are. All right? Take care and peace, peace.